Hello and welcome to part 3 of my step-by-step guide to the step-by-step sample flight from Aerosoft for the Airbus A319 aircraft. So in the first video of this series I did the preparation and getting ready to taxi out onto the runway. Video 2 was taxiing, takeoff and the standard instrument departure. Here on video 3 I'm going to talk briefly about getting to the top of climb and flying the rest of the journey and getting to top of descent and following the process from there. The turn we're making now is just over Innsbruck, and the cyan coloured hook that you can see on the display is our top of climb. Just the range on the MD, so we can see as we get closer toward the top of climb, which will be 31,000 feet. When we get there we level off, everything kicks in, the throttles will kick back a little bit so that we can settle into our cruise at the right speed. So that interaction from the flight attendants was kicked off automatically because we'd reached our cruising level of 31,000 feet. I do find it surprising though that they're not allowing people to stroll around in the cabin until we hit 31,000 feet. I can't remember if that's been the same on flights I've been on, or whether they haven't done that earlier. Perhaps you'll leave me a comment in the comments section and let me know what your experience has been. The first thing I'm going to do now that we are into the cruise is to tune in the radio for the ATIS at the destination airport. Now I don't need to do this because I've set it to fair weather, but it's just kind of a good habit to get into, it seems to me. So let's have a quick look at the pedestal, and over here let's dial in 129.6, which is the frequency. Flip that over to active. First time I did this I was surprised to note that partway into my cruise I started to get ATIS information for Friedrichshafen, which is jolly interesting but obviously not what we want. I guess for a short period of the flight we just happened to be within range of their ATIS transmissions. So if you do this and that happens to you, then obviously ignore the ATIS for Friedrichshafen and wait until later on in the flight when we will get the correct information for Nice. When we do get that information, it will trigger us to set up some information into the MCDU on the captain's side so that we can prepare for the landing. Now for this phase of the flight, pretty much until we get to or near the top of descent, there's not a lot to do except to kick back and have a look outside the lovely views and enjoy the fruits of all that programming you did on the MCDU. Maybe also at this stage you want to take a look at the outside views and the standard views that are provided by Aerosoft. Keyed up over here, so there's the left wing view, obligatory now I think, this left engine view, I have to say I think looks great, right wing view and the right engine view. There's a bit of clipping here, let's see if we can adjust that out. There we go, nice view. For those that may have missed it in the earlier videos, the scenery you can see here is the standard FTX EU scenery, nothing special there at all. Look at the tail cam. There we go, back into the cockpit. Takes a long time for this cockpit to redraw when you come back in. I guess that's just one of the features of this particular aircraft. So with that done, I'll put the views away, and I will pause the video, and you'll rejoin me then as we're nearing our top of descent, and I will see you then. Hello and welcome back, and you join me now. As you can see, we've got the ATIS information coming from Nice, and if you check down on the ND display, you can see the white coloured right hook here, indicating that that's going to be the start of our descent. But first of all, let's go down to the pilot's MCDU, because we need to take a look at the page for the approach and entering some information which we're getting from the ATIS. So the first thing we need is QNH, and that's coming back as 1013. So we'll enter that. Next thing we need is temperature, and the temperature is currently showing as 19 degrees. And we need wind. Wind's reported as being calm, so we'll make that 0 knots from 0. And we need 25,000 for the transalt. And 210 to Barrow. Now don't activate this yet, that will come up in a moment. In fact, it will come up in the next video when we need to take a look at doing the approach. Now that we've got all that information, I'm going to turn the ATIS off, simply by switching the frequencies, and we take a look. Now we're on the right turn of our ANOVA, heading for the top of descent. So we've got a message up here at the top of the screen telling us that the descent prep checklist starts in 9 miles, or I can go to the First Officer's MCDU and start it there, or I can use key 1. The reason why you might want to hold back, I guess, in real life is simply because when we start doing that checklist, one of the things we do is put the seatbelt lights on. So all of our lovely passengers need to scurry back to their seats and put their seatbelts on. So although you can do this within a few miles of after having reached cruise altitude, probably best not to do it until about now. So we'll start the descent prep checklist now by pressing key 1.
Okay, let's go through the descent preparation checklist.
Seatbelt signs.
On.
Anti-ice.
Off.
Landing information.
Received.
Altimeter.
Standard.
Error radio.
Checked.
Checklist complete.
So with the checklist complete, we get an instruction to initiate descent, but I'm not going to actually do that until we hit the top of descent marker here on the flight on the ND monitor. Over here, what I'm going to do is to dial in the height we're heading for, which is 4,000 feet. But I won't push it yet, because pushing that is what initiates the descent. So we'll wait until we hit that marker. Let's turn the range down. We're about 5 miles away from it now. I don't think you have to be super accurate with this, but we're approaching it, so I'll initiate descent now by pushing on the altimeter button.
Initiating descent.
FMA check.
Radar tilt.
Set below.
So really that's as much checklist as the flight deck crew will do now until we get to 10,000 feet, and we'll go through a series of checks then as well. For now, let's take a quick look at the first officer's MCDU. And on here we can see we've finished all the checklists that are showing here, so we'll go to the next page by clicking the right arrow button. And you can see we've done all these. The next checklist that we will get after we finish descent, which is coloured green to indicate us progress, will be the approach, final, and so on down through to parking. Now, in essence, really, that's it. After takeoff and flying the standard instrument departure, there's very little to do during the flight itself. There's the top of climb, which is one point, then the rest of the flight is a cruise where it follows the flight that you entered into the flight plan on the captain's MCDU. We get to top of descent, we dial in the altitude we want to get to and activate, or rather initiate, the descent. The flight deck crew start going through their checklists and so on. So rather than have you sit here and watch us nicely descend down towards the southern French coast, I will pause the video here and look forward to seeing you in the next and final video in this series, which will be flying the standard approach, or the Star, into Nice Airport, and I hope to see you there. Thanks for watching, see you in the next video.